Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here with yet another bonus episode of the One Man Podcast for you guys, brought to you by Absolute Comedy, of course. Today, my guest is a local, a favorite here at the local Absolute Comedy, all the way from Houston, Texas, my buddy, Mr. Scott White. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Josh. Good to be here.
Absolutely. So this is this your first week here doing the Absolute Comedy run here in Ottawa?
No, this is my last week.
It's your last week.
It's my last week.
You did the other clubs already?
I did the other clubs already.
How were they?
Is really good.
Yeah?
Yes, really enjoyed them. When I was in Toronto, my first week in Toronto, I either forgot or didn't realize that they're a little more sensitive in Toronto.
Yeah.
Kingston and Ottawa are a little more blue collar, but in Toronto there was a lot. So, but as the weeks went on, that sort of went away. But I was just sort of taken aback. It's like, oh, okay. So
I find that too in Toronto, but it's funny because the Toronto comics, when they come to Ottawa, they're like, oh, Ottawa's way more conservative than Toronto.
Really,
which I've not found. I've found that in Toronto they tend to be a little more
judgmental in Toronto.
It could just be that because those comics are from there, they know how to maneuver those waters.
That's true. Like when you see a New York comic in New York, they know how to handle it. And I guess it's in somebody coming, because I did it like years ago. I did a set in New York and I totally felt myself out of like a fish out of water, and all the other New York comics on there were just handling it perfectly.
Yeah, like nobody's business, eh? That's fucking hilarious. And it's strange too, because they would go outside somewhere else, and if they had a tougher, I don't like that town. That town's tough. It's like, well, it's no tougher than New York. You just haven't been to that place,
right? Exactly.
You just don't have the local references. The local references get you out of the fucking trouble.
I did. But speaking of that, Rich Hall, do you know the comedian Rich Hall? He's a stand-up. He was on a show in the state or on HBO, and not necessarily news. Anyway, he said one time, like whenever he goes to a new place, this was back when there was newspapers. He goes, I'd pick up a paper and I just read about a bunch of local stuff, and then he would incorporate that in his show, local references and stuff like that. And he said that would help get the audience on their side.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I began, in Toronto. Well, in Toronto, I started off with, when I was my MC week, I was just like, I'm the MC. I'm up here. I'm not the headliner. I'm just going to do a short time. I'll do like 4 minutes and out, like the Raptors, and and out. Yeah. And that was, they didn't really get behind that one. So,
yeah, exactly.
But I incorporated some more local references, and that actually really helped. Got them on my side right away. And then after that, it was cake.
Yeah, and I like the idea that it's like you read local stories and things like that are not interchangeable, because sometimes I'll have comics come to town and they'll go, hey, what's like the bad part of town?
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
What's like the shitty university?
What's the ghetto grocery store?
Yeah. They always say, so it's always going to be the same joke no matter where.
Cornwall. Cornwall has been dropped several times.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a town like 40 minutes away.
Yes. So
there's nothing, like, it's just a small town, and they're just, they're poor. They're on the American border.
Like this week during the amateurs, like 3 comics dropped Cornwall, and the audience just went nuts.
Yeah, that's the close town that sucks, and then Vanier is the shitty part of the town you're in, right? Because there's always the shitty part of the town you're in, and then there's what's the close town that sucks, boo, like, which it feels kind of. It's like playing, what is it, Mad Libs?
Oh yeah,
just insert this word here. It's going to be the same story every time, but just put, I don't know. I don't have any jokes like that in my act, thank God. But it's funny to me every time, like, somebody will come up and go, hey, so what's like the shitty university? What's the shitty grocery store? What's the neighboring town it's like, no.
Now when I'm in Canada, I'll say, will they get this reference or that reference?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. Whether they have this up here and they don't, not in the States or what. So
right.
Like one time I did a Brawny Man reference, it's a brand of paper towels in the States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a Brawny guy. And
the dude with the plaid shirt?
Right.
Okay.
And I did it up here and it was nothing. So,
really?
And I asked somebody, I go, if I did a Brawny Man reference, and I don't know, maybe they were just screwing with me. I go, if I did a Brawny Man reference, would they get it? And the guy goes, oh yeah, they'd get it.
I didn't know it's called Brawny Man.
Yeah.
Hearing Brawny Man, I was like, is that the one with the axe or whatever? Yeah. But it's also in Stephen King's It. the Brawny Man guy comes to life. There's like a big tall statue
Oh,
of him
yeah.
in Derry, and Pennywise used it to come to life to scare a kid. So I would also get it only because I've read that book. But there's a lot of things that we don't have here, like Trader Joe's. We don't have here.
No.
And I would imagine that's like a Whole Foods or something.
It is.
Like that.
It is, yes.
Is it smaller scale or?
It's a smaller scale Whole Foods.
Okay. So that's like we get reference. We don't have Sonic and TGI Fridays and all that shit, but we get that they're like Denny's or whatever, or yeah, again, Fuddruckers and that kind of shit. These are all places I want to go as a fat guy. I see the commercials when we occasionally have the playing up here on an American channel. I'll be like, fuck, that shit looks good.
It is
Like,
good.
No wonder they're fat. It's like $3.99 for all you can eat fucking steak-'em sandwich. Like, what the fuck is going on down there? It's funny too. I'll give you an example. I'm going to Los Angeles next month, and I'm obviously overweight. So I'm just looking forward to maybe jumping on some stages and having people, oh, he's from Canada. I go, look, guys, I know I'm Canadian, but I look American. Maybe get away with. That's the same thing as shitting on the rappers. Like, did he just call us fat? While calling himself fat at the same time. Yeah, man. I mean, I get those references. Like I said, it's cool though when you're reading stuff that from the area. Like again, there's nothing wrong with having jokes. Like local references are fine.
Right.
A lot of people are like, oh, local reference. But yeah, it's as long as it's unique, I would say. Right? If you're doing something like I read the paper today, hey, that story about this, that, or the other, that's fine. You're not doing that in every city. As long as it's not like a pull out one word.
It's a pull out, take out Cornwall, put in whatever. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Birmingham. And
Yes.
where are we going next? Hamilton. Like all these places, right? So, yeah, very cool. So the weeks went well. You're still here this week. For anyone listening, guys, I always try to plug this in the beginning. This episode will come out on Friday morning. That should be when you're hearing it. If you are, you have an opportunity to see Scott at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa, absolutecomedy.ca to get your tickets for that. Just always a reminder before we get too far into it, right? We want to let them know that they still have a chance to
Absolutely,
see you. At least
yes.
in the Ottawa area, they have a chance to still see you. We got to start getting you guys into Ottawa first so that I can plug all 3 weeks on the podcast in case they're listening elsewhere.
Well, our mutual buddy Slade Ham, he started here first, I believe.
Yeah.
And then ended in Toronto. So
Yeah, and then I didn't even know that one. So I didn't even know Slade was here until like maybe 10 o'clock on the Sunday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like or no, it was the Monday. I didn't even see him till Monday. I went in to do a spot, and he was hanging out. Sam was here too, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't.
Oh, they were both here?
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't realize you guys were here. So shit, sorry. You want to do it? I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. Missed opportunity, but we'll have them in definitely.
Oh, definitely.
in the
They're two
future.
of the best.
Yeah. So all of you guys from Houston, right? Houston, Texas, or is that where you're from originally?
I'm originally from Michigan, but I live in Houston.
Oh, okay. Did you start stand-up comedy?
I
in
didn't
Michigan?
start stand-up until I moved to Houston.
Okay. So
So-
what moved you from Michigan to Houston?
Well, first of all, the weather. I was just the winters were just getting brutal.
Yeah.
And I could handle the heat more than the weather, more than the cold. And I had a buddy that moved down there, and he said, "Why don't you just come down and live with me until you get on your feet?" And that's what I did. So I've been there for like 22 years.
Okay.
So
You weren't moving jobs or anything like that
No.
in terms of that. Oh, that's cool. Fuck, I envy that. I was talking with Alex too. He's like, I moved from Toronto to Los Angeles. I'm like, that's a big jump. Takes a lot of moxie to be like, I'm just going to move halfway across the continent.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? That's very, very cool. So what got you started into stand up then? And how old were you when you started?
I was old. I was like 29 when I
Okay.
started stand up. So 28, 29. So I entered the game older, you know.
Right.
And I always liked stand up, just watching it on television and stuff like that. So when I moved to Houston, by the way, he's moving to Canada.
Moving to Canada, spoiler alert.
I
You gotta tell
feel
us, sir.
I feel sorry for all. Canada is the country that everybody chooses to move to when somebody they don't like gets elected. Well, if so gets elected, I'm moving to Canada, and I believe the total right now is 0.
Yeah.
And they're always
We're a nice vacation home for some.
yeah, and it's always people you don't give a shit about. You can swear on this, right?
Of course.
Oh yeah, it's oh no, not share.
don't care
We're not
about
going to lose share to Canada.
Yeah.
So
Sure. We've lost a lot of Canadians to America, but that's just because you guys have a good star system there,
yes,
right? Whereas here they're like, what? 6 cities that you can play in, and they're all super far away from each other. That sounds like fun.
what were we? But what
We were
was it?
saying how you started stand up.
Oh, I just I saw we had trade paper. This one, back it was we had not before the internet or right when the internet was born, but we had trade papers. So on the back it was open mics at the Laugh Stop in Houston, Texas, and I just went there. And for like the first month, I think I just watched, and then I finally got up and did it.
That's cool.
And
Now, is that a sign up or is that like a
it was
show up? Go
no,
up
it was a
kind of
sign up.
thing? Okay.
So there was a chance. It was a drawing. So they'd put all the names in the hat, and you would draw, and you could either go up at 8:15 or 2:15 in the morning.
Okay, so it was one of those long.
Until everybody. There was no end. It wasn't
fuck.
from 8 to 10. It was 8 until everybody went up.
Okay.
So,
And in I guess too, just for fun, we'll get. I want to get back to the stand up part, but in terms of those type of like open mic lineups, whatever, do they still exist like that in Houston? Like, are they? If you're doing an open mic in Houston, as a new person, not of course at your level, but if someone was to try to find an open mic or whatever, is that the same thing? It's just one of those big long shows at the club that just goes until everyone's done.
it depends. Some are like that, and some are from 8 to 11.
Okay, so still 3-hour shows.
It's still 3 hours. Yes, they try to let everybody there who's there to perform.
Okay. That's good in that regard. But I almost like one of the things I learned from that fucking lunatic Jason, what's absolute, is that like there should be like an end to the show. Maybe not as crazy tight as he makes it sometimes, but the idea that like the audience does get tired.
Yeah. So the open mics are on Monday, and how is the open mic here?
Here, like it's still an hour and a half long show.
Oh, it's only an hour and a
So
half.
it's still an hour and a half.
So
Like,
they have to call in and sign up and stuff like that.
that's right. Yeah. Like the big thing was like when I started off, and I've never been on one of those shows that goes forever. There were some yucks ones where they would have like a pro host, and by pro I mean like the best amateur hosting, but then they would have like 15, 16 comics on, so the show could go for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you felt it. Like if you were going on near the end, you're like, ugh, the audience has no energy left.
No,
And
by the end, it's usually just comics in the audience.
Yeah, like a pro show that went for a long time, I would feel tired after a while. And the idea that when you're watching an amateur show, some of them, like you could have like, and nothing against them, they're learning, but you could have like 5 shit amateurs.
Oh, absolutely.
One after another bombing, and you're just, as an audience member, like waiting for it to end. Next. Like, so you just, for a 3-hour show, it feels like it would be exhausting.
I think an hour and a half show is because I've been screwed in the fact that you get people, you get MCs or openers or whatever that go over their time.
Right.
And so when you hit the stage, it gets keep pushing back and back.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, you can still do your 45 or you can still do your 40. That's not the point. If I'm supposed to be on at 8 o'clock and I go on at 8:45 and do 45, it doesn't matter that I'm still doing 45 minutes. The audience is tired then.
Yeah.
And by the end of my set, they're going to be really tired. So it's not the time that people think it's that, oh, you're going to cut my time from 45 to, no, it's not that.
It's that it came at the end of the fucking.
You want the certain spot to do your certain time.
Yeah, there's a reason that
There's a reason that's there.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason that friggin', the editors cut things out of movies. They're not like, oh, we just made a 4-hour movie. Well, no, because it's exhausting. And nobody wants to watch a 4-hour movie. You're going to lose people. They need to look at that time and go, I'm not going to go see a 4-hour. I'm not looking for Lord of the Rings.
Also, it's
edition.
a lot of it. It's with theaters.
Yeah.
Longer shorter movies they can play 4 times a day, or longer movies they can only
make more money.
and make more money.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting too, like, because of the fact that generally speaking, those open mic shows, the amateurs are also looking for feedback on the jokes. Not like, oh, this is just a paid show. Like, they're amateurs. They're trying to get new jokes out and see if they work. So if you're trying out a joke in front of an audience that's done, they're all the juice has been squeezed out of them, you're not going to get a response. Now it's actually affecting your material and your work because you've put all this effort into it, and you're not even getting an authentic response because they're just wiped. They got nothing to give. I remember seeing my friends and I used to go to comedy clubs all the time when I was younger. And when we went to go see George Carlin, like the opening act was killing us and we were laughing so hard. And we, like, my buddy actually looked at me, okay, calm down. Like, we'd been to comedy clubs so many times where you're just burnt out from laughing, like just where you just got nothing left and you're still like, you're smiling, but you're done with laughing. Like, you just don't have it left. Your muscles are toast.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the kind of, like, just that. And my friend looked over me. He's like, okay, we got to stop laughing now. We got to save it for Carlin. Like, because we're going to be burnt, like, literally. And then it's an 18-year-old going like, all right, we got to conserve because we're going to be done. So the perfect example, if you can't fucking keep laughing through Carlin, then it's, it's a tough one. So back in that, I wanted to ask too, because you're right at the bottom of the states in Texas, and there's I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the podcast, but I find it interesting. I'd love to get your take on it. Is in the States, they have sort of a different format for shows at some places, like here, because a lot of guys have brought it up before, is that here in Canada, we have the second strongest act on the show is the host. Right. So it's like a strong host, strong headliner. The opener, the first guy who goes up, that's the weakest guy on the show. And not necessarily, but just it's the smallest spot and it's the less trouble you can get into if it doesn't go well. And then the feature act being the middle, they're doing 20 minutes. They're also, usually particularly strong, but they just don't have enough to headline, and they're not quite a host yet either, because hosting is a different monster.
It's a different beast, yes.
Yeah. So, but in the States, they do it differently.
Right.
They put the weakest guy on the show as the host.
Yes.
Is that the way it is in Houston as well?
Oh, yes. That's the way it is in the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of that format?
It's tough because I should say in Vegas they don't do it that way. In Vegas they have a professional MC,
Right.
but no, I like it up here better because up here not only does the MC open the show, but he or she will do time in between acts.
Oh, they don't do that.
No.
So it's like an opening act.
It's 15, 30, 45 usually. MC comes up and does 15.
So there is no like opener. It's like the opener and MC is one and the same.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
So the MC does 15, and you might have a guest spot.
But then will he come back up afterwards? Or
No.
Just shotgun one to the next?
No. Yes. So the MC does their 15, the feature does their 30, the headliner does their 45 to an hour.
Okay.
It can be rough if the MC does not get them going, because that means so now it falls on the feature. It falls on the feature to get them going. So they have to spend maybe 10 minutes of their show getting the audience up to speed.
Yeah.
And then
you're just handing it off at that point.
Handing
You've
it off.
warmed them up.
Yes. The headliner is pretty much taken care of. If you have two shitty acts in front of you before the headliner, then it's not a very good show to begin with.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of MCs, I've worked with tons of MC. This is my first show. This is their first professional show.
And they're hosting it on a weekend?
On a weekend.
Jesus.
And they're hosting. So not only do they have to host, but they have to get the announcements. Up here,
they do it at the beginning of the show?
We do it at the beginning.
Gross.
Yes.
Sorry.
They'll do it they'll do a lot of the announcements at the beginning of the show. So not only are they doing their material, but they have to remember to do the announcements. And then then it's to the feature and to the headliner. So I've been to England. England has the same lineup as you guys do, where the MC is stronger. The MC and the headliner are on equal grounding. They're both equally as strong.
Yeah. And I've heard in the UK too, like a lot of shows that they do is like they do like 4 headliners. They'll do 20 minutes and 20 minutes, intermission, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. And they're all like, that's amazing. It's basically headliners doing feature spots. So you can crush for 20 minutes.
You can crush for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And then just good night. And then it's another, like, I would just love to see one of those shows.
Sort of like a
headline,
blue collar, with they're all doing 20 minutes and they're crushing. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's also more expensive to get 4 headliners to come in and do that. But yeah, so I wasn't under the impression. I thought in the States it was like the MC is the weakest, and then he comes up in between. There's an opener, there's a feature, and it's still that little nerdy weak guy coming up in between.
Nope.
Okay. So to me, it sounds like they save money by doing that, because the opener and the host are one and the same. They're also less experienced, so you don't have to pay them as much. Whereas if you have 3 pros, host, feature, and headliner, you're paying for all of those.
Well, no, it's pretty much a flat rate.
Yeah.
So the MC, whether they have 2 weeks experience or 10 years experience, they're going to get paid the same.
Right. But I'm saying if the position was a more important one, like here, where the host has
absolutely.
to be good, then you got to pay 3 pros instead of paying 2 pros, like feature and headliner, and then the simple cash of the host.
And a lot of time the MCs are just so excited to get stage time.
Right.
They don't even care what they're getting paid. So they're just happy to be on stage.
Fuck, I can imagine that going off the rails. Like if you get a host who doesn't know how to handle like a rowdy crowd.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because that's a difference too that I've noticed, especially like, and not to run down amateurs, like it's just experience. It's not how it is. I don't want the fucking, you got a BMW. You don't want the guy who's first day mechanic working on your shit. Go practice on the fucking, 91 Toyotas.
Right.
Go break something that's already broken, I don't know, that's a stupid analogy, but the idea is I want, you want people to experience, but it takes time to get there. Everyone's got to have time to practice. But it's funny because there's a lot of amateur shows in Ottawa. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Absolute Comedy, Tuesday, Wednesday at Yuck Yucks. There's a lot of amateur shows, not to mention all the open mics. And it's funny because you'll see people who do okay hosting an open mic. And then they're like, oh, I should be, I can host weekends. I can handle weekends. It's like, it doesn't even matter what you're doing. Like you can do spots or you can host on an amateur show. The audience is there seeing an amateur show. You're actually getting away with certain things because the audience knows what they're seeing. But as soon as it's a weekend thing, like you said, like some of these guys, it's like, oh, it's my first time on a pro show. These hosts with no experience can get eaten alive because people are not there to see an amateur show. They're there to see a pro show. And their expectations are that everybody that they're going to see is a pro.
One of my first times here, I was working with a comic, and during his set, he was saying, my daytime job is whatever.
Yeah.
Computer programmer. And I pulled him aside and I said, you can't say that because they're here to see a pro show.
Yeah.
And if they think this is just a half part-time gig for you. So reword, I used to work in computers.
Yeah.
Or I used to. Yeah. But the audience does not want to have a hint of anything amateurish if they're paying whatever they're paying for a ticket.
Yeah.
They want, even if it's not true, they want to know that all comics are full-time comics working there.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes a difference. Like, it's funny because if that expectation is that you're seeing pros, you know what I mean? Like you said, we paid for that. You don't want to fuck with expectations. Look how expectations affect relationships.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They'll drive people crazy. So you want to go and let people down on a weekend. I always tell the amateurs, I'm like, don't be so eager to do weekends until you know that you can fucking handle it because they will eat you alive. Mm-hmm. I think it's funny.
And be careful what you ask for, because if you do it and you fuck up, it might be a long time before you do it again.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Stanhope wrote a thing about that comedy boot camp in the States. I won't go into it. It's a long story. Do you remember the one? The Kyle Cease and Louis Anderson's stand-up boot camp or whatever?
I vaguely remember that.
This is getting close to like a decade ago that this came out. But it was funny because Stanhope wrote a big thing up on it about how, taking money to teach comedy is to an extent reprehensible, depending on what you're saying. Like this was like 5 days stand-up mastery to become $1 million headliner. It's like the guys teaching it are $1 million headliners. How the fuck would they know?
Louis Anderson is.
Well, he is now, but he showed up as just like, I don't know.
He was a special guest or something.
Well,
like that.
He was like co-producing it, but like the little trailer that they had for it, I could tell them if you type it up, they may have pulled it down or whatever. But like look like Google stand-up boot camp. Kyle Cease, Louis Anderson. Kyle Cease doesn't even do that anymore. Now he does like motivational speaking and stuff like that. Like you could tell from what people were saying about it that he was trying to like mix motivational speaking with stand-up comedy class. And then now he just does motivational speaking. So like he was clearly transitioning out of comedy to be a Tony Robbins type kind of thing, but with no experience. Right. But Doug Stanhope wrote in the thing about how like what they were selling was on day 5, after they've taught you everything about stand-up, they're going to record your set and they're going to send it out to industry on your behalf. And Stanhope was like, are you fucking kidding me? He's like 5 days into stand-up and that's what you want everybody to see? Like your first set ever? Mm-hmm. He's like, imagine you filmed the first time you ever had sex and then that was your audition tape to become a porn star. Like who would want anyone to see them having sex the first time because of how bad you are at it, right? So it's like if you're super eager to get on stage, I just got to get on the weekends. It's like, you really want people to see you at that level because that's what they're going to remember. First impressions last a while.
I was in a sketch troupe long time ago, and I had a bunch of friends come and see me, and it was not that good. And so when I started doing stand up, I couldn't get them out to see me because they remembered this. They remembered the sketch. Yeah. That's like, well, I'm like, first of all, that's not sketch; it's stand up, but it took a long time for them to come out and see me. Yeah. Because they remembered how bad the sketch show was. Yeah.
How did your first set go?
My first set went really, really well.
Yeah.
And then my second set did not go that well.
It's so many stories like that in stand-up, eh? Like the first set was good, and then it's like, and thank God, right? Because if the first set hadn't gone well, it's like, who would have known? If you do like 4 or 5 bad ones, like, maybe it's just not for me.
Right.
But the first one going well, you could have a bunch of bad ones afterwards, but you remember that.
You remember
that
the first one
going, okay, I got him once. Like, I got to get back there. That's, and did you have, like you said, it was difficult to get friends. Did you have anybody there, like any friends or family?
No. This was because I was relatively new in Houston. So
okay, that's right.
I didn't have a lot of friends, and that's where I met. And that's where I met Slade, and that's where I met Sam. all at the Laugh Stop doing the open mics, and when we all, I think Slade and Sam might have been doing it a little longer than I had at that point, but we were all
sort of coming up at the same
time, emceeing and stuff like that, and maybe featuring, but mostly emceeing.
How did back with that format of the
Speaking? Doug Stanhope. This is a weird. I was originally, my first MC gig was originally scheduled with Doug Stanhope.
Oh yeah,
but something happened and I got bumped to Adam Ferrara.
Okay,
Adam Ferrara was my first MC gig.
That's still awesome.
That is still awesome.
Two very, very big names.
Yeah.
And so your first time doing the MC on the weekend or whatever, how did it go?
It went well. Went well. Yes. So.
Awesome.
I was told I was a little dirtier MC than most, so I was still maybe. And Adam didn't say anything, but the owner said maybe take it back a tick.
Yeah.
So, but that was
because Adam's not particularly.
No, he's not.
At all.
And I emceed. Well, I emceed for at the Laugh Stop. I emceed for Adam Ferrara. I emceed for Dane Cook.
Okay.
I emceed for Jim Gaffigan.
Very cool.
Yes, so a lot of and Robert Kelly was featuring. So the show was me, Robert Kelly, and Dane Cook.
Yeah,
and that was a cool show, and
because Robert Kelly and Dane Cook are friends.
Yeah, they're really tight.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love hearing just some of the shows you get in the States because again, we don't get that up here. It's a long time, I guess, before guys sort of make the jump up to Canada. To work up here, and it's also not particularly worth all the travel, right? So for there,
that's what I've been told. I mean, it's really hard to be a full-time comic in Canada because all the gigs are really, really far away.
Yeah, we got like I mean, not to shit on any cities or whatever. We have like 8 major cities, and they're all spread out across. Like you got Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa that are close together. You got Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver that are close together ish. Mm. But in the States, it's like you could have an entire career all within a 3-hour drive.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many fucking towns and cities.
You can have a career in stand-up in New York just because there's so many clubs in New York. I talked to a New York comic one time. He goes, you can get $100 a spot. You do 4 spots a night, 5 days a week. Yeah. So
that's good money.
Yeah.
You're hustling, but
you're hustling
making money, and
you're making money, and you're in New York.
Yeah, you don't have to jump on planes or anything like that.
Jump in a cab or jump on the subway or whatever.
Yep, that's fucking awesome. But that's the thing here. It's not like there's 2 clubs in this city, and then you want to get to another comedy club, you got to drive 2 hours to Kingston. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then another 2 hours from there to Toronto, 2 hours away from Montreal. So again, but you still can't have an entire career. There's 3 clubs in Toronto. If I'm right, there's a few in the surrounding areas, but they're all owned by one chain.
Right.
So if you're not in with that chain, that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
If you are in with that chain, you don't get to perform anywhere else.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So that's also very limiting. But the idea is it's like there's 2. I think there's only 1 club in Montreal now. 2 clubs here, 1 in Kingston, and then 3 in Toronto. Again, you can't have a whole career. Now you're flying across the country one way or the other, going out east where I don't think there's any comedy clubs, Halifax and Nova Scotia and all that stuff anymore. There's and by the time you've spent the money on the plane ticket, that's what you would have made to go out there. So now you're not generating income.
Right.
It's breaking even. You're like, it was a nice trip. I get to tell some jokes to strangers, but
it was a working vacation.
Exactly. And then the thing is, maybe if you string together the other ones at East, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, it's like maybe you can make a bit of money to go out there, but you have to do each one of them 1 week after the other for it to be worthwhile, and that can be difficult to coordinate. Mm-hmm. They might not have the availability to do one after the other, so it's tough, and that's the thing for yourself as well. Like you're coming all the way up from Houston, you can't come up here and do 1 week and make it worthwhile.
No,
right?
because I've what is it, Laugh Lines in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried to do that. It's just a weekend show, and it was just not. It was. I love the club and I love the people, but it's just not worth my time and effort to come up here for a weekend, a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, because by the time it's all said and done, do you even make anything?
I did. I mean, I was able to get my plane ticket for free. I frequent flyer miles and all that.
Okay.
And yeah, I came away with a little bit of profit, but it's just not.
Yeah, like if you're profiting $300. Why throw a weekend away for 300 Canadian? You know what I mean?
Or whatever I mean, it was fun to come up here, but
Yeah. Whereas here you can do with Absolute, you get to do the host week, the headline week. That's
Yes.
2 weeks. Then you can go to Kingston and do 2 weeks. You can go to Toronto and do 2 weeks. Now you get 6 weeks of work, with a return flight. You know what
Exactly.
I mean, you don't have to fly to each and every. Well, for us, it's
I take the train to each one.
Yeah, exactly.
Train's great. Yeah.
I got to show you Kanga Ride before you go.
Kanga ride?
Kanga Ride. I wish Jay should have told you about it because he knew about it a while back.
What's
Kanga Ride is like, think of it like a Uber for ride share between cities.
okay?
So I just started doing it last time I was in Toronto. I'm doing it again next week when I go to Toronto for JFL 42. Is you basically, so for me, I have a car, so I post the ride on Kanga Ride. It goes through their thing. They charge someone a token, everyone's background check with their ID and everything like that to make sure they don't have a criminal record or whatever. But the idea is I post the ride. It's $15, or sorry, to Toronto it's $30 a head. But you would have gone from Kingston to Toronto or whatever it
Right.
was. It's $15. That ride is $15. And what you do is you just book a spot in someone's car. They tell you where you're going to meet, where they're picking you up. You can pick the ride, whether or not some of them just let you bring a bag. Some of them let you bring a piece of luggage. So mine, with the room in my car, I set it up for luggage. And you can get from Toronto to Ottawa for $30. And you don't, they only let you seat 2 people in the back seat. So it's not like you're crammed in there 3 people. So the idea is you get a ride from Toronto, Ottawa, $30, which as far as I know is cheaper than a plane ticket or a bus ticket. And if you're going Kingston to Toronto or Kingston to Ottawa, it's only 15.
Right.
So $15, you're in a car, it's not door to door, but it's still more convenient. You get to pick the pick up and drop off location in the city. But yeah, it's called Kanga Ride. So like kangaroo, but Kanga Ride. And next time you come, use that because you can save yourself even more money, like your $15 in between the cities.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And that's it. Yeah. I told Slade and Sam about that because when I saw them on the last day, they were like, "Oh, we're in Kingston," but Kingston ends on the Saturday, and then he was doing the next week again in Kingston. So I said, "Hey, if you want to pay the $15 Kanga Ride, come back, stay here, and you at least hang out for a few days in Ottawa for the sake of $30 round trip,
Right.
Right? Why not come and hang out instead of being bored in Kingston for 3 days? I mean, Kingston's amazing, but." So how long were you doing stand up before it went from, I mean, I guess, like I said, with the hosting being kind of like, it's a paid gig, but it's for the spot. How long before you started featuring and headlining?
It took me 4 years. I became a working MC.
Okay.
And then maybe about 6 or 7 years in, I started featuring. And then, so I guess, and then about 10 years in, I started to headline, and I've been headlining for about 11 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been just about everywhere in the States, I would imagine?
Mostly the Midwest. I don't go to the coasts because there's just tons of comics in California and tons of comics in New York. But most of my work is in the South or in the Midwest. I'm from Michigan, so I have family up in Michigan. So, and like you said, there's clubs in Michigan, Illinois, Ohio. And those are all within 4 or 5 hour drive.
Right.
And there's tons of, if not clubs, one-nighters and stuff like that. So
That's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah.
you say, now my geography isn't outstanding, but you say all within 4 or 5 hours from Michigan, not from Texas.
From Michigan,
Okay.
yes.
So you go up there, you work everything, you get to visit family at the
Exactly.
same time too. Okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty fucking cool. Any other countries or anything like that you've been to?
Like I said, I've been to England, and I did USO tours. So I was in Iraq and Afghanistan and Korea and Japan, and so that was nice. That was cool.
What was that like?
It was really fun. One of the you do these army bases, and they're the most appreciative audiences you've ever. They're actually thanking us which should be the
Right.
They're just happy that they have entertainment out there, and they couldn't have been more helpful and a more positive and more fun audience. And like I said, they were just they were congratulating us, which I felt odd about. So
Yeah.
because they deserve all the credit. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Any weird things happen while you're out there? Like I've heard stories from other comics who've done the military tours where it's like, you hear air raids going off and things like that. People are like, "What
The only weird thing was we were at a post one time, and they said, well, you were supposed to perform in this building, but it was bombed the other night, so you're going to perform in this building." So
That's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so they could bomb the one that we're
Yeah,
going to be
so-
into. Jesus, did you get? You never saw the other building,
No, never saw it.
not even from the outside. Like just you could see over it.
No,
across
never-
the field.
never-
There, it's just fucking
no,
half
never
destroyed.
saw it.
Fuck. Jesus, I'd love to go do that just again for the experience, right? Because that's things that, that's kind of one of the only things we do. The only way that you're going to see those bases is either you join the military or you go there and entertain them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that would be. I'd love to see that too, just to see what the whole thing is like. But like you said,
Well, I know
I've heard-
Slade is. I know Slade books, so and Brendan McKeegan,
Yeah.
our friend, has done those with Slade. So
yeah. So Slade's the one booking them now.
I don't know if Slade's booking them, but I know you could probably talk to Slade and he could probably point you in the right direction or give you a recommendation. on
Right,
that,
right.
yeah.
I know Olivia was booking.
Olivia, yes. So,
Yeah, she was booking those for a while.
Olivia is and she's still booking. She's booking places in the military,
Oh, okay.
bases in the States and stuff like that. Because
Okay.
I actually had to turn one down because she's doing one next. Actually, the Friday this is coming out. So
Okay.
I had to turn it down because she was doing a gig there, and I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm already, I was already booked. So
Yeah, yeah. Those and are they just as good?
Oh,
in
yeah,
the States?
yeah.
Okay, okay. I would think like the bases in the States. I mean, obviously they're all still working hard and everything like that. But you'd think it's a lot less scary being
it's a lot less scary, but
Yeah.
but the audiences are just as appreciative. Yeah,
right because they're working hard. Mm-hmm. Fuck, and it's a lot less scary for you guys.
Yeah,
too.
it is a lot less
like I'm
scary.
pretty sure these buildings.
Well,
aren't
the one
getting
thing was, when we were in the Iraq, it was just they just don't. They go, don't lose your passport. Whatever you do, don't lose your passport.
Really?
It's like you will have so much trouble getting out of this country if you lose your passport. So they just drilled that into us. And another comic misplaced his passport. Luckily he found it, but it was scary there for a moment. So
Now, when you land, you're not like going directly into a military airport, right?
No,
you're
you
landing
land-
regular.
you land in a regular airport and you have to go through their customs. And once you get through their customs, the military will pick you up.
Okay, okay. So then, don't you lose your fucking passport because you're still going through all the regular stuff. It's not like you go military.
No, you're
airport to
not doing military. Yeah, you're flying. United to Afghanistan. Yeah, so.
Jesus, that's fucking freaky. You hear horror stories. People lose their passport and then just in like what is it? Saudi Arabia, whatever. It's like you lose passport. Like, now you're a slave. You work on the streets building.
Yeah.
whatever. No one knows who you are. And
Yeah.
that's it. Terrifying. Well, that's pretty fucking cool. I know too. So you've been doing stand up as a headliner for 11 years. You've been all over, for the most part, United States. You're traveling up to Canada. We love having you up here.
I love coming up here, yeah.
You're one of our favorites up at the club. It's always a good time. You and Jason very close. You guys golf all the time.
Well, there was one time there was a time when you were talking about relationships, and I was in the worst relationship ever. It was like this woman was just god awful. And one of the things was she hated it when I had a good time.
Yeah.
She hated it.
Yeah.
So when I was up here, I told her how much I enjoyed coming to Canada and how much it was just like, the bright spot in my year. And she just ruined it. She would she'd just text me and just be pissy and just, And one year they could tell because I guess it was just unconsciously coming out through my performance on the stage. Because the next year I was back and she was gone and everything was back to normal. And Jay was like, I'm glad to see you're back. Cause last year the staff was saying that, and I'm thinking, he was like, the staff was just like, didn't know what was wrong with you.
Right.
Cause you weren't up to the standards that we were expecting of you. And fortunately I bounced back with that, but yeah. So, a bad relationship will just take its toll on you. And like I said, I didn't think I was doing anything different, but apparently it was coming out. I was just worn down from her just trying to drag me down.
Yeah, it's tough. I've seen. I've had it at times. I'm not running down my ex by any means, but
No, I'm running down her. She was a fucking horrible person.
There's people like that out there. But
Yes.
but there was times too where like again when my ex and I first started dating, she would come with me to all the shows. She was super supportive. She loved being a part of it. But then when she got full time with the kids, she wasn't able to come out anymore. And then I started to notice that there was, I don't think it was deliberate. Like we're all people, we're all trying to grow, we're all trying to get better. But there would be comments like, "Oh, it sucks that you're going out and I'm stuck here," and yeah, I get that. But then after a while, like when you're hearing it often, and this and that, you start to like resent stand up. And then I stopped going out to do open mics and stuff like that because I'm like, well, there would be statements made like, well, if you're not getting paid for it, like why, should you really be going out just do like 6 minutes or whatever? So it got to the point where it affected me, and I unfortunately didn't get out of it. This is coming. Okay, thanks, Simon. Simon has written us a poorly scripted note saying,
but the sentiment,
I love you guys.
But the sentiment is fantastic.
Thank you, Simon. A worthwhile interruption.
Has Simon ever been on this podcast?
No, because he doesn't have anything interesting to say. Clearly. But what was I going to say? Yeah, and again, this is really not me trying to make it sound like everything that was wrong with my relationship was like I'm not going that direction. But I know I've said this before that my comedy took a huge dip because I loved her with all my heart. One of my favorite people in the world, still to this day. But the problem is that I started to resent stand up. Instead of being like, because like you're saying, it starts to come across in your performance. If you're feeling dragged down, again, I don't think that was her intention. I think she was just expressing how she felt. But at the same time, it's like, okay, but that affects me because now me doing this makes you feel bad, in turns makes me feel bad. So now doing stand-up makes me feel bad.
No, with my ex, it was intentional. She was very manipulative, and she was very intentionally trying to make me unhappy. I stayed in that relationship way too long.
How long? If you don't mind asking, how long?
It was a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it cost me. I won't.
For the record, on this podcast, I get deep into my own shit all the time. Like when I'm doing my single one, I talk about my own shit all the time. So if you want, feel free. People love.
Well,
this
no,
shit.
it was just there was. I started seeing her. And I started talking to her, and I started talking to a comedian I met in Toronto. I won't say her name.
Ooh.
But
I wouldn't. I'm just hyping it up.
And it was just, and there came to a point where I couldn't keep talking to both of them, so I went with the wrong one, and I handled it. I handled it horribly. The girl in Toronto, the comic in Toronto, I handled it horribly. And to this day, I hate the way I handled it. I was a coward, the whole thing. And
without naming her name, do you want to, like, what happened? In terms of how you handled it, if you don't mind.
I texted her. I can't see anymore. I texted her. Fuck.
Shit. That sucks. Hey man, everybody wants to do that. For what it's worth, it makes you feel any better. Everybody wants to just not face it. It's hard.
And then
it's fucking hard.
And then we were Skyping because I was in the States and she was, and then she Skyped and we talked one last time, and and she gave me, she spoke her mind, and which was fine. And then and it was a wrong decision, and this comic now is still. We're still friends on Facebook and Twitter and all that, but we don't talk. And I've tried to. To me, she's the one that got away. Right? Maybe I don't know. I feel that she got away, but I made the wrong decision with my choice. I chose to quote the night in India. I chose poorly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. To quote the night, because I was thinking of a different quote. It's like, what is? I don't remember who the author is, and maybe the audience are yelling at me. But it's like one of those. There are no sadder words in the English language than this. It might have been.
Yes. It might have been. So, but and I tried to, I don't know, rekindle or whatever, and she has rebuffed it, and. She's like typical Canadian. She's never gone off on me. She's never called me a name. She's always been very polite. But very steadfast in the fact that she does not want to have anything to do with me anymore. And it's been years, so I'm sure. Yeah. And
well, there you go. For anyone listening, don't make the wrong fucking decision.
Yeah, and I've talked to and some other and every time I'm in Toronto, in the back of my head, it's like maybe she'll see that I'm in Toronto, and maybe she'll show up to the show, and she hasn't. She's never has. And I was working with a couple of comics, Tim Rial and Kate Davis, who both know her, and they're like, just send her an email, and I couldn't do it. It's just it's to see what she's saying. Maybe just go out to lunch and just maybe. you know, it may not rekindle a relationship, but just let her know that you feel horrible. And but I never did. So that is a semi-personal. It's a personal story. I don't want to give her name.
No, and I'd never pressure you for
Yeah.
it. Never pressure for it. I mean, I'm gonna ask you after we're done.
I'll tell you after we're done. But I don't want to.
No, and that's awesome. That's very.
And if Kate Davis and Tim Rial are listening, don't.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't leave her name in the comments.
I don't think either one of them listen to the podcast. Tim gives me shit because he hates the name of the podcast. So he's like, "Oh yeah, the one man podcast where you have guests." I'm like, "Listen, on the regular show, the one man is me talking about me, and the one man during these bonus episode is my guest. That's the one man being."
And you
showcased.
talked to Alex Russman.
Oh, Nussbaum.
Russman. Nussbaum. Alex
Yeah.
Nussbaum. Oh,
Yeah.
God, I hate terrible with names. I'm glad guy. Yeah, but you talked. He was the headliner last week.
Yeah.
And it was great working with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex is a very fucking interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's very funny too. The that's the thing with all this too. One of the favorite things I like about sitting down with comics is like, yeah, we get to know the comic too, but I like and enjoy the fact that none of us is like, oh, fucking easy street from start to finish. Like while we're doing what we do that people see in the laughs and all that stuff, there is shit like this going on where, we get stuck in the same kind of fucking, relationship ruts and personal ruts and career ruts as everybody else. And it just sort of, I think, humanizes people because everybody, when we first sit down with the podcast, it's like, it's an impression that we're just going to shoot the shit, which may be interesting to some. And, we get into stories where we shoot the shit a little bit, but I like the fact that, it's not like, hey, let's just shoot the shit, or hey, let's do like a boring ass XM interview. It's like, how'd you get started? What made you want to be a stand-up comic? What was the craziest time you had? Like, like all that bullshit. I like being able to have a real conversation where, at least for the sakes of the narrative, there's sort of like a start to finish as to how the career's gone. But at the same time, like there's shitloads of experiences like this we have, right? People get to hear somebody and go, oh, I didn't realize that they've gone through the same shit that I have. It's not like they just, I just thought I'd try comedy. And then ever since then, I've private jets and international tours.
Right.
Right. The easy street. Are you in a relationship now?
I am not.
No?
So I am trying to give it up.
Really?
Yes.
To give up being in a relationship?
Yeah, just give it up.
Why?
I just can't. I mean, it never works for me, and I try, but then the women are.
You guys can't see this, but Scott is rubbing his eyes and like, gee.
And I'm telling Jay, and I went golfing with Jay and Colin O'Brien and Al.
They haven't given up on relationships. They're just both phoning theirs in.
No, I'm just trying. It's just like, I don't know what to just give up. Just die alone. But it's
Jesus.
I'm trying, but it's just like I can't because there's just
that might be when you find someone though, because everybody apparently finds someone when they're not looking, or at least the right person when they're not looking.
The right person.
You're on fucking Tinder and Bumble and all those bullshit ones. Then it's like, now you're just finding other broken human beings. Yeah. It's honestly like that's the as is section for human beings. Everyone acts like, let's dress it up, make it look like it's something great. It's like, but we're all here because no one wants us, right?
Right,
like,
exactly.
That or our standards are incredibly high or whatever it is. Yeah, I know a little bit about that. So I don't know. But don't give up. Don't give up. I totally get the mindset. Like again, after being in
I'm going to be 50 this year.
That's okay.
And
Jay's in a relationship. And he's terrible at it. That's the thing. Every time I'm like, there's no hope. I look at Jay and I go, fucking asshole. He doesn't even know what he's doing. It's like honestly, I think like Jay in relationships is like Tim Allen on Tool Time. He acts like he knows what he's doing and he just ends up blowing it up at some point. Oh fuck. But I don't know. I don't want to give up. I'm 8 years. I was 8 years in. Now I'm back on the market and I really, it's awful. It sucks. Like I wish I could just be like, you know what? I want to be that person who's like, I'm just happy with me and I don't care if I'm with somebody else. I'm like, big long silence. I don't know. I couldn't give up. I don't want to give up. I want to give up. But I don't. You know what I mean?
I want to give up, but it's tough.
Yeah. I wish. Let's put it this way. I wish I could give it up.
I wish I. Yeah, maybe that's.
But I don't want to give up.
I wish I could give it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. So what do we do? Nope. We just keep chasing that dragon. So what's I mean, again, like you've been all over into some huge accolades. Is there any? Do you have any like highlights of your stand up comedy career? Any moments that stood out and you're like, this is one of my favorite times?
Well, I opened I opened for Bobcat Goldthwait, and that was really fun because not only was Bobcat a nice guy, he was a very good comic.
Yeah.
A lot of these comics with big names are not very good. Bobcat, legitimate stand-up.
Yeah. Was he a comic before he
Yes.
got into movies? Okay. I find that to be a big difference.
Yes, that is a huge difference. He's not a Screech or whatever. Yeah.
Well, even, and I hate to say it because I had I was disappointed big time. I went to see, I think my first year stand-up comedy, I went to go see John Lovitz.
Oh, he's awful.
He's fucking awful.
He's awful.
And the thing is, him on TV and in shows and in movies, he's hysterical. So I was like, I remember seeing him going, oh, I go, but I get it now. I go, so he's not a funny guy. He's a funny actor. Like if you write for him, he can deliver it, but he can't write it
The
himself.
funniest thing of last seasons of Comedians in Cars with Coffee was Dana Carvey having to defend John Lovitz to Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, I watched that one. I don't remember him defending John Lovitz.
Because he was talking about, Dana was talking about him being on the road with John and Jerry and Seinfeld's like, really, John? And Dana's like, no, he's really funny. Where they have to no, he's really funny.
Yeah.
He's inappropriate. It's John saying inappropriate things. And you could just hear Jerry's eyes roll.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. And John Lovitz, when I saw him, and again, close to 10 years ago, he did 25 minutes of songs on his keyboard about Bob Saget being gay. 25 minutes, probably 6 or 7 songs all about Bob Saget being gay.
Saget is awful.
Is he? Oh yeah, I've seen some of his
Saget's
stand-up.
stand-up is awful.
I've heard he's a wonderful person.
He might be, but his
Yeah,
stand-up is awful.
I've seen parts of it. Like the thing is, it's unwatchable. Here's another guy who, again, actor first, thinks, oh, I'll just become a comedian. Rob Schneider.
I've never seen Rob Schneider stand up, so I can't tell.
I have never seen a special or it live. However, I have seen clips of it in a show that he was in a couple years ago. I don't know, the show could still be going on, but a friend of mine came over and I was working on something. He was just watching it on HBO or whatever streaming service was. And it was like Rob Schneider doing, like it would be like it would be almost like Seinfeld, where it's like scripted show, but then there'd be breaks of him doing stand-up comedy. And the jokes were awful, like just the hackiest shit that you could think of. And again, not to run Rob Schneider down, but I was like, whenever they're an actor first and they just think, oh, I'll just sidestep into comedy. Fuck you. It's not that easy.
No, it's not.
But
the stand up seems to be that fail safe safety net for all. Well, wrestlers are doing it now.
Yeah.
And
they're not. They're telling stories.
Well, they're telling
They're
stories.
calling it stand-up comedy. But it's not, people aren't laughing, or if they are, it's like.
I worked with Steve-O.
Sorry.
And I was worried because
I don't always sneeze, by the way, when someone says Steve-O.
Steve-O, that's your trigger
just
mechanism.
coincidental.
And I was worried because I'm just like, oh man, is this just going to be a club full of drunk Steve-O? Woo! And it was some of the best shows I ever had.
Yeah.
The audience was really attentive. He did a good job. And he delivered what they wanted, and he was a super nice guy to be. So.
Was this? Do you know if this was when he was still? Was he sober?
He was sober.
Okay.
No, yes.
Okay.
This was a couple of years ago. He was sober. Yeah, this was after. Yeah, after all that, he was sober. He had his handlers and all that with him.
Yeah. Oh, he has handlers.
Well,
like life coaches or whatever.
I don't know.
Sponsors, whatever.
Maybe they weren't. Maybe handlers isn't the correct
No,
word. But they had people. And speaking of handlers, I hear. From what I've heard, if you are on tour with one of these wrestlers, you have to babysit them 24/7.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. But no, I think it was people, because he was selling stuff after the show. So I think it was people who just, make sure he was in the right place, got him here or there and set up his merch tables and stuff like that. So,
but it's interesting to me only because I didn't personally, I didn't hear it as a negative, but it's interesting because again, the older I get and the more fucking demons and issues that I have that I'm starting to work with, I remember late 20s, I was my impression was still like someone has depression. I'm like, fucking suck it up, get it over. Like, not aggressive or condescending, but just like, yeah, everyone gets fucking depressed about shit. Move forward. And the older I get, I'm like, yeah, no, there's real like mental illness shit. There's stuff that will cripple you and fuck you up.
There is,
and denying it isn't going to get you anywhere.
There is, but there is also a lot of social bullshit. Political correctness diseases, I believe.
Oh, of course.
Which I think gets in the way of people who are really depressed. It's like, people who...
Somebody doesn't feel like going to work today, so they say, "Oh, I'm depressed." Like,
what was it? I read something somewhere, the telephone fear or something. People have telephone anxiety. It's like, that's not real. I mean, it is... But
they might have anxiety and the telephone triggers it or something like I've had to accept the fact that I have anxiety and it's not treated.
I have
but I try to work.
I have social anxiety. I'm very uncomfortable around groups of people.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you find that out? I mean, not like a diagnosis, but I mean, like for myself, I just, after a while of constantly being stressed out with stupid things, like I used to say, "Oh, I just overthink things or whatever," and I get anxious. But it was at one point,
don't act. I'm not. Being a comic doesn't help either because people see you on the stage and they think you're that person in real life, which you're not.
Right.
So I'm a very quiet person, and the more people get around me, I just feel uncomfortable with all the people there, and then sometimes I'll just leave and it's with friends too. If I'm at a party, I'll start off strong. If I'm at a party with people I know, I'll start off strong, but then by the end of the night, I'm just like, I've got to go.
Does it feel like, at least I know for me, so like, 'cause I don't have social anxiety, but I definitely get, I'm worn out faster with the conversation. I used to be so social, loved it. I get my attention needs met through stand-up now. So now I don't want to be part of the nonstop chat.
I've never been a conversationalist, and that might be a reason why that I'm single. I'm not a good conversationalist. So if I, keeping a conversation up with a woman is very, very tough with me.
Right.
They're doing all the talking, and they think that I'm not interested, and it's just not that at all. It's just that I don't know what to say, or I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
In a normal conversation. So then maybe I'll make a joke, which might be inappropriate.
Right.
Not inappropriate, but ill-timed or whatever. And then they think, well, you can't take anything seriously. All you can be is funny, and that's not, it's.
But humor's how we process things.
Yes.
Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, you guys don't take anything seriously," or "Why is something tragic happens? It's always a joke." It's not. It's just humor is how we take something that's inaccessible and make it accessible to ourselves. We make fun of it so it may be less threatening or whatever. Now we can think about it. Now we can process it because it's not intimidating anymore. It's funny, and I honestly think that I know I've said this before, so sorry listeners for you guys listening to it again, but I've said, like, if somebody has special needs, right, Down syndrome or something like that, and they do something inappropriate, it's I don't want to say accepted, but it's tolerated. It's people are patient with it because they understand that's the condition. That's how their brain works. Same with people with autism or Asperger's. People go, well, that's just how their brain works. And it's accepted. And it's good that we're getting there instead of just ridiculing. But for some reason, people don't understand that that's how comics work. It's like, yes, all the rest of the population gets to see something tragic or something negative or whatever. And people just go, oh, that's so sad. And that's it. They feel sad. Well, we know it's sad. We still think it's shitty, but in order for us to be able to process it, right? Because it's like laugh or cry. Something bad happens to you, right? You get bullied. You can either laugh it off and build a defense mechanism like comics do and find a way to be funny about everything, or you can just be depressed and upset and sad. I just think that we're going to get to a point where hopefully people go, oh, like comedians aren't trying to make people feel bad about tragic stuff. That's how they process it. They're taking something negative and they're trying to make it palpable.
Right.
It's not out of disrespect. It's just how we put it through our machine. Our meat grinder's different for thoughts.
Well, because I had a joke. Like the 9/11 anniversary was just last week, and I had a 9/11 joke. It was just the Lions played. It was on Monday. 9/11 was on Tuesday, and the Lions played on Monday Night Football. I'm from Detroit. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. Anyway,
you got out of there in good time.
Yeah. So, but and the Lions just got destroyed on Monday Night Football. And my joke was, well, it's a good thing that the Lions didn't. It's a good thing that 9/11 didn't fall on Monday, because then that would have been the second worst thing that ever happened on 9/11. Because the Lions, and that was my Detroit playing so poorly joke.
Right.
So, and it's not making light, and like you said, that's just how you see, you see the tragedy, but you can also see the joke in the tragedy. So
Yeah, well, because that's all it is. Other people are joking about things in the past, and it's totally okay. But for us to be ahead of the curve is unacceptable. It's just we processed it that way early, and it's it's like you said, and our brains will work that, because as soon as you go like, oh, this is the worst, and then immediately your brain go, is it the worst?
yeah.
Because then you go, oh. No, there's other things that happen around this. And it's just that simple of a formula in our head. That's how our brains have worked. It's the 10,000 hours of just doing it and doing it and doing it. I don't know where the fuck I started with that. I wanted to ask, because you were saying about the social study. Do you mind if I ask, like, what you go through? Because again, I have had a lot of people. Mike Stork was on here and he was talking about his codependency. There's been other comics who've talked about their anxieties and stuff like that. And I do have feedback from listeners going like, I really appreciated hearing that, because it made them feel, again, less alone about it. But when you're like, in terms of the social anxiety, like you said, the more people show up, like what goes on with you in those moments? So it's like, it'll be you and me talking to, like, say, at the bar downstairs after the show, and then another comic will show up, someone else shows up. What goes through you, like in those moments when the crowds build? That's like, just because I've been with you
I
too.
just pull away. And
Yeah.
and it's just like I stop talking and I just pull away, and sometimes even physically like move my chair back from the table.
Yeah.
And stuff. So maybe just to take myself away, but I will slowly start to say nothing, and then just watch what's going on and stuff like that. And then everyone's and then so like, hey, it's like they'll throw a conversation, throw
right at you, Scotty.
yeah, okay. But that's just I'm not one of those I've never been one of those lean in life of the party guys. Like that. So yeah, I physically and mentally just withdraw from everybody in there until the point where I just have to get up and go without. And sometimes I'll do that without. I call it a French retreat.
Okay.
I'll just get up and leave.
Yeah.
Without telling anybody. And it
ninja bounce.
Yeah.
No, it's season.
Ninja bounce. Yeah.
Ninja bounce. Irish goodbye.
Yeah, ninja bounce. I've heard the Irish goodbye, ninja bounce. I call it.
Just turn around. Where's Scott?
I call it the French retreat. Yeah. And it has nothing to do. I'm not dissing anybody.
No.
Yeah, but it's just like I need to get out of here. So
yeah. Well,
and I don't. The thing is, I don't drink either, so I don't have anything to really numb.
Yeah.
To numb what's going on. Some people drink to do that, or smoke. I don't drink or smoke.
Well, on some of those tables after the show, everyone's sitting down and chatting and everything like that. It's like, again, when I first started stand up, I really like being a part of those conversations. I do like hearing people's point of view. But I just got to a point where I'm like, at some point it just becomes everybody just fucking around and joking, and then it's almost competitive people trying to talk.
I've never been that way either. When a group of comics get around, they always try, a lot of the times they always try to outdo each other. And I've never been that way.
Becomes a pissing contest
Yes.
or whatever. And it's like, and that's the thing. That's another reason why I personally, I don't dislike it. I'll sit down when I get to see like yourself or one of the headliners in town, but my need to sit down with Jason and 3 other local comics and then 2 of the doormen and just sit there and everyone's fucking around. Like I don't have anything to say as well. Like I said, the old me who wasn't getting it out of my system of stand up, wanting to be social, sure, I'd sit at that table and fuck around. But now stand-up gets the need for whatever that attention energy is, or an outlet for me to get my shit out. And now I'm totally happy to just go home afterwards.
Right.
I have no need to sit there and just fucking shoot the shit with everybody and try to outdo them. Try to talk over Jason Lawrence and Aaron Power. Good luck with that.
I haven't seen Aaron this time. I haven't seen Aaron this go.
Really?
Yeah.
Not at all?
No.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he's out of town or something. But I think he had said something about going on a trip or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm totally fine. And again, another outlet is this podcast.
Yeah.
So I get the shit that I have to say out. And if somebody wants to hear it, go to the podcast and hear it. I've said it. Jay, on the other hand, is like my mother. Like he'll tell the same story fucking 15 times. You golfed with him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's answered his phone 10 times and tells people the same fucking thing over and over.
Yeah, I was actually surprised yesterday. His phone didn't ring that much. So, but
Really?
usually when we're on the golf course, it'll ring five, six, 7 times, and he's like, "I got to take it." Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh fuck. Well, that's good. So what's next on the docket for you?
I head back home at the end of the week, back to Houston, do some shows in the Houston area, and then I head up to Michigan to do some shows up there and see my friends and family.
And that's Detroit.
Yeah, the Detroit area.
Detroit area.
Yeah.
Maybe probably a stupid question, and I'm comfortable with it. Does Detroit still have a comedy club?
Yes, Detroit has a few comedy clubs.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Because everybody,
Well, not in Detroit. There's like There's like the Ann Arbor Showcase, which is close to Detroit, and then Royal Oak, which is close to Detroit. So there's a couple of pretty big comedy clubs in the the Detroit downriver area.
okay.
They also have casinos in Detroit, so I'm sure they have comedy clubs in the casinos. And we're really close to Windsor, so a lot of people go to Windsor to see a show or go to the casinos.
Yeah,
in
because
Windsor.
they have the Caesar's Palace there now.
Yes.
They bring up some pretty big names.
Yeah, they do.
Because that's the thing. I've done Windsor over the last couple of years, and the club that's there is closed now.
Oh,
But,
it is.
Yeah, but I talking to the comics there, like they talk about going over the river and they do shows in like bars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, and the way they talk about Detroit is like the city's fucking toast. They're like it's the population that it once was, obviously with all the things closing down and whatnot. But I was just like, they act like the city's a fucking ghost town now.
Well, Detroit itself is, but the suburbs around it are not. So
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And now there's also areas of Detroit that are like completely condemned now, right?
Yes,
They're like
yes.
the whole thing's shut down. It's like
yeah.
so is there like I guess I'm just my concern, my interest right now is the geography of the city is in terms of like what you're seeing from across the river in Windsor. That's like the downtown core, the GM building, all that. That's the
Yes.
Is that still vibrant?
No, that's still vibrant.
Okay.
That's still vibrant, but a lot of things around it are shut down, burned out, and all that. But
And then you go even further out and you're fine again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do all those people in the burbs, whatever, do they work in the city or do they work elsewhere?
No, most of them work elsewhere. A lot of people in Michigan do work in Canada, so they have
Yeah.
to take the bridge over every morning. And when I was, before 9/11, before you just needed a license to get back and forth over
Right.
over the bridge. And now you either need a passport or what my friends say, they give you a special license
Okay.
where you show it, and that shows that you work in or if you're in Canada, you work in the States and all that.
They have like
So
Nexus passes, I think.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Because my mom works for customs, and they have like these Nexus passes. Now you have to still fill out effectively the same info as a passport. But
Yes.
it's just like a card that you can just tap or
Right.
scan or whatever.
Exactly.
It gets you through airports fucking way faster too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like from what I've heard, like there's Nexus lines, and it's like the regular lines are like 100 people deep, and the Nexus lines are like three people. You just go through, but it's you have to apply for it. It's like a passport or whatever, but it's effectively for people who travel like constant border crossings. So like you said, twice a day kind of thing
Right.
from Detroit to. And again, going back to the States being way more dense population wise, like you think, oh, the burbs of Detroit. Well, how far are these people living from the one city, right? Because here, the burbs, everybody 2 hours away aren't probably everything driving to Ottawa, right? Ottawa's the city you work in. Everything else is like smaller shit. Whereas, the burbs of Detroit, there's another city super close by that they can drive to and work. And
Oh,
stuff like that.
absolutely, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not the same as here where everything's just spread out. Like people in Canada aren't driving to Kingston. It's Ottawa is where you work. And,
Right.
all of the surrounding areas can
Yes.
be burned out. But that's the thing. Cornwall is effectively the next closest city that I can think of. And it's not a town. It's definitely a city, but it's a smaller one. They had a big paper mill there that was like the all industry, and then it's just closed down and has become a much smaller. It's the Detroit of Ottawa. I don't know. It's so stupid. Well, that's cool. So what you doing in the clubs in Michigan when you get there?
I am doing I'm doing the Holly Hotel,
Okay.
which is in Holly, Michigan. It's a very nice comedy club. It's in the basement of a hotel, and Holly, Michigan is a statuesque Michigan town and stuff like that, and it's a very elegant hotel where. Well, I'm sorry, it's not a hotel. It used to be a hotel, and
Brothels?
but now it's a restaurant. It's a classy restaurant
Oh,
up front,
okay.
and a comedy club in the basement. And I'm doing that, and I'm also while I'm up there, I am doing a Portofino's, which is a comedy club in Wyandotte, Michigan, which is really close to where I
Okay.
live. So, and all that that'll be on my calendar at scottyblanco.com.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
scottyblanco.com. So yeah, all that's up on my calendar right now. So.
Awesome. Well, dude, I had so much fun chatting. I mean,
I'd like to plug one other
yeah,
thing.
please,
before-
please.
If you follow me on Facebook or anything like that, you know that my dad calls himself Bulldog.
Okay.
And my dad learned to text at 89. He's now 92, and he'll text me. What he does is he'll text me like stories about how he conquered the Wild West or he was in the jungle or stuff like that. Those totally fun,
Yeah.
silly stories. And
I would assume not true, or are they totally true?
they're totally not true.
Okay.
And a lot of people are like, is he? They think he's
Dementia and stuff?
dementia, or Alzheimer's, or I'm doing. I'm like, no, these are him. It's 100. He's 100% in his head, and these are 100% his. And so what I've been doing is when he'll send me texts, I've been writing backstories to the text, and I call them the Bulldog Chronicles.
Okay.
So if you go to my Facebook page, there's a link to the Bulldog Chronicles, which is just my stories about me, stories that I've written about my dad's texts. And it's kind of silly and it's kind of fun, and that's one of the things I'm very proud of that I'm working on right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're Bulldog Chronicles, and that's on your Facebook page?
It's on my Facebook page, and I'm on Twitter at ScottWhite91, and if you go to that one, that'll also send you a link. I also have a Twitter for Bulldog as well, the Bulldog Crow one. That's
Awesome.
all I could get.
Before we close it down, I thought about doing this earlier and I totally forgot. Is you like myself and like a lot of other comics, you're a fan of comic books and things like that,
Yes,
right?
I am.
So I just watched this morning. Again, we're doing this on Tuesday. I still haven't even recorded this week's episode, so they're actually going to hear the Wednesday episode first, and we've recorded this prior to me recording that. But I just watched the Captain Marvel trailer.
Yes, I saw it too
this morning. That looks so. I wanted to ask you because I don't know anything. Are you familiar with Captain Marvel and the stories and things like that?
Yes, vaguely or something.
Okay, I don't know anything about Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel used to be a man.
Yeah, and he died of cancer. He was the
Yes.
first superhero to not get killed by a villain, but to
Right.
get killed by something.
Like his power gave him cancer or something like that.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, that sucks. Everything gives you cancer.
Yes.
You're superpowered. Wolverine got adamantium cancer in Logan.
Yeah. And then there was a time where she was Miss Marvel.
Okay.
In the comics. MS.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel.
But aren't they two completely different people now?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm
There's
not
Miss Marvel's black suit with the yellow stripe on it, and she's having comics made. And then
Yeah.
there's Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers. I know very little. I know only what they've said in the press conferences. But she's like, I don't know what her power is.
She's just sort of a Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
She can fly, strength, invulnerability.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it. She's pretty much
That's pretty goddamn good, though.
Yeah, it is pretty. Yeah,
flying, strong, and invulnerable.
One of the
what else
strong.
you
Yeah,
need?
she's actually one of the
She
strongest.
picked the best three.
Yeah, she's one of the strongest superheroes out there.
That's what they were saying. So she's, for anyone who's,
Yes.
I guess spoiler alert, if anyone hasn't seen Infinity War and somehow you're like, oh, but I really want to be on the front page of this fucking Mr. Captain Marvel thing. They were saying that she's the biggest deal. She will be the strongest thing that anyone has seen in the MCU
Yeah.
when her movie comes out. And of course, at the end of Infinity War, she's the one that you've seen it. I'm not spoiling anything for you.
No, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that what's his face, Nick Fury is calling on the on the pager. It's just her symbol that shows up. So she's going to be a very very important part of Avengers 4 or
Right.
whatever. So I don't know. It seems exciting. Do you know her story?
I don't.
Okay,
I couldn't
I
tell
don't
you
either.
a story.
I thought I'd ask you just because I'm like I don't. I saw the trailer. But so this is just complete nerd stuff. You guys can hang out for the next 5 minutes if you want, or you can just end it early. But I know that they're using the Krulls in her movie.
Yes.
I don't know much about them. All I know is they were a big part of X-Men's story, right?
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, right? And Fantastic Four is a Fox property.
Yes.
So they were worried about how they were going to
Right. The Krulls are doppelgangers, shapeshifters.
Okay.
So they're from another planet and they can adopt the form of anybody, of anybody. So,
Okay.
So that's their powers. So
And what's their deal?
they were just trying to take over the world by by becoming world leaders and stuff, taking the place, sort of like Invasion of the Body.
I was just going to say, it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Yeah.
except they're able to articulate things that are
yes,
just screaming and
but
pointing.
they become exact duplicates of people around.
Do they actually eliminate the person and then take their place? Not like, I know that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but I mean like, kill them. Like, what's his face? Chameleon in Spider-Man or Mysterio or whatever, like where they're actually just pretending to be the person.
Yes.
They haven't actually like killed them and then replaced
Right,
them.
they tie them up.
They don't assimilate them, right? Like the thing assimilates you and then becomes you and pretends
Right.
to be you. So they just
No, they don't. They just copy you. They don't assimilate. Yeah, so,
they don't eliminate you and then
No.
and then take
No,
your
no.
place or whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty fucking interesting. I mean, I'm interested to see how they're going to do it because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, everything's getting more and more cosmic.
Yeah.
With Iron Man and Captain America, it's just strong dudes running around Earth with plausible scientific things. I liked. It's really interesting, because the whole idea of being able to do super movies that were really out there, unless it was Superman, something that everybody knew, and it was just so out there. You couldn't do it. It's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It was hard to make things like Spider-Man and Daredevil, where guys are swinging through buildings and shit like that, and make it like, how does anyone believe this shit? Oh yeah, radioactive spider. But they did such a good job with Marvel of taking their time to slowly just introduce one thing and then something that could go a little bit further and a little bit further. The whole thing right before Age of Ultron with Loki's scepter was that the idea that they somehow used this cosmic thing to start giving cosmic powers to other people. So now no one's going, well, how did they get these powers? Like, no, just the scepter. Like, people just accepted, oh, no, it's just space magic. We've gone from little bit to little bit to little bit. Now it's space magic. Now anything can be anything because there's space magic in it.
Well, I'm going to. Do you know Derek, the manager of the Kingston Club?
Oh, McFarlane.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does a podcast called the Canadian Movie Crew.
Okay.
And I've been on that, and so I'm going to plug that. I did a. We
Don't
did
you fucking dare listen to that instead of this. I'm sorry.
we did a show where we reviewed back in the 70s. They did Captain America TV movies.
Okay.
And we reviewed one of those, and just how far we've come in that time. But it was just this horrible TV Captain America movie. And now just looking what we have, it's just totally different. But that was fun, just seeing the early stages of just trying to get superheroes on the screen and stuff like that.
And now they're like the biggest.
Now they're the
fucking
biggest
cash
things
cows.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay. Question for you: are you a Marvel or
Marvel.
DC?
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marvel.
What do you like? So let me ask: Infinity War. What did you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Did you feel like they did justice to the storyline and everything like that?
Yeah, for the most part, I believe so.
I did like that they got rid of death being a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in the comic books, for anyone who's listening, who cares? Thanos is in love with Death, like Mistress Death. She's like a physical embodiment of death, and she's the one who basically gives him the errand of destroying half the life on Earth, and he's more than happy to try to do that to please her. And so when he gets all the Infinity Stones, I think she asked him to get her the stones, right? And
I believe so.
And instead, he kept them to be worthy of her.
To make the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, exactly. And then basically he doesn't kill half the life. He just thinks, well, now I've got these. I'm your equal, Death. We should be together. And Mephisto says, well, hey, you know. She doesn't pay attention to him. She completely ignores him like he's nothing. And Mephisto says, well, maybe she's ignoring you because you didn't do the thing that she asked you to do. And he's like, oh, of course. And within seconds of him being told that, he goes, oh, absolutely. How inappropriate of any lover to, blah, blah, blah. And then he snaps his fingers and kills half the life in the universe. And I liked that in fact, the story that they told in the movie I actually think is kind of better in the sense that instead of being like, oh, Death, I love you, how do I do what you want? It was a real problem that's in the world is the overpopulation issue. And I think the fact that they made him, the argument has been made that in the Marvel movies, they're doing so much better because instead of it being like a bunch of black rock monsters like in Suicide Squad or flying mosquitoes in Justice League, every one of the villains in the Marvel movies, as much as they're the villain, you can understand where they're coming from. There's a very human aspect to their plight and what they're trying to do. Like everyone can understand where Killmonger was coming from in Black Panther. You know what I mean? Feeling like, why the fuck are you hiding behind here with everything while all of your people all over the world are being persecuted and have nothing? Same with Thanos. Like, if you think about what he's trying to do, bring balance and save, again, in his mind, save lives before everything gets destroyed. It's not fucking Josh Brolin killed it. In that movie. That Thanos was fucking amazing. At first, when I saw the trailers with him not wearing the armor, just walking around bald, I was like, that's weird. But it kind of works. If he was walking around in that armor the whole time, it looks so silly. And I think the argument made was that once he got the power and space stones, well, now he's got so much power, he doesn't need all the protection. And they were actually able to see his facial expressions and things more. But I don't know. I really liked the direction that the movie went. I liked the idea that it's still the same outcome of what he's doing, but and the threat of it. But at the same time, it's not like he's trying to. He's not doing it for a girl. You know,
he's not doing it to get laid.
Yeah, exactly. Give her his purple people eater. I don't know. That's stupid. But I enjoyed that one. What? Do you have any thoughts or predictions for the next one?
I don't. I'm not even gonna try. Yeah.
No. Are you still big into comics and stuff?
I don't. I mean, yeah. I'll pick up a comic every once in a while, but I like the superhero movies and stuff like that, and I try to stay abreast to as much as I can.
Have you seen some of like the set photos and stuff like that from the new one?
I
Jason's
haven't.
giving us the finger wearing a shirt that says "I'm not gay." He needs. He's so defensive. He needs to wear it on his shirt. What was I going to say? I keep looking at the window. I'm expecting books. One of my sponsors is sending books.
Oh, there you go.
But we're a couple weeks waiting on them. Sorry, not that needs to go on the podcast. But the set photos from the new ones, Avengers 4 shows. Did you see Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
Okay, so there's some elements from Infinity War that echo into that movie. But the set photos of Avengers 4 show scenes from the very first Avengers, like when they're in New York taking on what's face. Only Ant-Man is there too, and they have these sort of watch things on their hands with the Pymtech logo on them. So it looks like time travel is going to be.
Oh, I see.
So there, and something maybe to do with the quantum realm, but that's it. I don't know. I think it's fascinating because I was like, why that's not set photos. I'm like, that's the first movie, and then it's like, no, but you see them. Captain America is wearing the blue one that he had on from the first Avengers movie and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm excited to see the Captain Marvel. Are you loving the DK stuff or DC stuff?
I don't mind it.
That's a big no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to like them. Now they're clearly doing exactly what Marvel's doing and trying to bring out movies. Like Shazam is coming out and Aquaman and I don't even get the characters.
Well, they need to make. They're making a sequel to Wonder Woman. That was it.
Yep.
Wonder Woman was good.
Wonder Woman was great.
Yeah,
but it's not enough to save all the stuff. Like they just got rid of Henry Cavill. He's not Superman anymore.
Oh, he's not?
Yep. Ben Affleck is not coming back as Batman. So everything that they were doing, I think they're trying to like cast aside the Zack Snyder stuff, but they're going to keep Wonder Woman. And they're obviously doing Aquaman with Jason Momoa or whatever. So that's going to stay. So it's almost like they're going to put new people into the roles. And I don't know if they're just going to keep going, but clearly they are.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman staying the same. Aquaman staying the same. They're doing, was Shazam part of Justice League?
No.
So I think they're just doing the same thing as Marvel. Let's just keep putting out movies, whatever works. And then we'll make a Justice League where they fight flying mosquitoes.
Yes.
And that was stupid.
It was
That
dumb.
was so stupid. And again, you don't care about anybody. The Suicide Squad is a thing they're going to keep doing, I guess. So they're going to bring those characters back.
Well, I mean, yeah, it got horrible reviews, but it did well.
Yeah. But again, they're fighting these black rock monsters.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I honestly felt it was like watching those movies is like the Power Rangers and the Putties.
Well, they're probably going to give Harley Quinn a standalone movie.
Yeah. Because everyone just wants to see Margot Robbie in those shorts.
Right.
And that's it. I found that a little overdone in that movie. I know that sounds stupid. Like, oh, you were upset at how much of Margot Robbie says. But I'm like, but there's a point where you just go, this isn't even about like, I like when you fit a little TNA into a movie. It makes me happy. But then when it's every scene and every angle has to be like they're standing around in a circle talking, but the camera's below her butt. So in the foreground is her ass and then a couple heads standing either side of her, hourglass shape. I'm like, at this point, you're just trying to showcase her ass. I'm like, all right, get back, give me that fucking movie at this point. I get it. She's hot. Something else. I don't know. That stuff pisses me off when I'm like, I get it. I fucking get it.
know.
Yeah, she's hot. I still have the erection from 3 seconds ago when you showed her ass. Go on with the story, for Christ's sakes. Okay, well, I just thought I'd chat with us about the comics.
We'll end on her ass.
Yeah, we'll end on Margot. Isn't that where most guys want to end?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. A shitty hack laugh. All right, Scott, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
It's an absolute pleasure. I look forward to seeing you this weekend at the club.
Cool.
I'm not sure what night I'm going to make it out. If you guys have an opportunity to come see Scotty, absolutecomedy.ca will make it easy for you to find showtimes, and you can even buy your tickets online. Or get the phone number and call the club. So, dude, thank you so much. Bulldog Chronicles on your Facebook page.
Yes.
And ScottyBlanco.com is your website.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you for coming out, my friend. I hope you guys come out this weekend, and we'll chat again soon, man.
Sounds
Thanks so
good.
much.
I'll talk to you later.
Cheers.